listening to Embrace Your State. I'm Michael Jackson, your host, and today we're talking with Steve Jackson, who runs one of the hottest open mics in the country. He's going to be helping us learn how to use an open mic to build your career. Please welcome to the show, Steve Jackson. I usually talk with people, about the music scene and all this kind of stuff, and at the end of the interview, I always say, well, tell us what you're doing. But with you, I want to do it backwards. I want to hear about what you're doing because I think what you're doing is it's important to musicians in your the open mic that you're doing, and I want to tell people about that right up front, and then we'll talk about how that sort of thing can affect them and how it can help them and what people can look for in your experience with that. So let's talk about Opening Bell for just a minute and what you've been doing. You've been there for years.
Yeah, I've been there for coming up. This location for coming up on 11 years, and it's a lot of fun. I do it because I love it, and the people I meet through there, it's been fantastic. Dallas has such a great wealth of talent that comes through here.
Yes. How did you start it? How did you get into doing the open mic there?
The owner, Pascal Hall, had contacted me in 2009 to take over at a new location that she had. And there was Monday night open mics there, and it was downtown. And she was in partnerships with a couple of people there, and the location didn't do so well. The partnership dissolved, and then it was just so happened that the man who was hosting open mic over at Opening Bell at Southside was kind of burned out and needed some time off. He asked me to fill in. And just for a couple of months, he said, and here I am, in May, it will be 11 years at that location.
And how many open mics have you hosted? I think you gave me some number that blew my mind the other day.
Dallas Observer did an article on a pretty good sized article in November of 2018 that I was hitting my 500 open mics in. So 550, 560 or so.
That's astounding. So that right there is one of the reasons I want you to talk to people, because you have seen people that just keep doing their music as hobbyists, and you've seen people go on to blow up and get where they want to go with their music and get big. And so I kind of want to know, just from your perspective, what do you see when people come to open mic? Why is that a good place for people to be? What happens there?
Well, the good things about it, first off, is you get out there and you test your material right off the bat. And even seasoned musicians and artists need to get up there and do that, because that's the best place to do it, because you're in front of a live audience and you get the feedback right away as whether this particular verse or chorus is working or not. And that is the first and foremost. And it helps young artists develop into something, gets their courage up to do it, because we have a lot of people get up there, they're just scared to no end. We had an artist last night who is just insanely talented, but she has more stage fright than she can deal with. And, she and I talked about it afterwards, how to overcome it and everything. But it's just the networking part of it is the biggest part of it for me, because I introduce these young artists to other artists, or they introduce themselves because they're enamored with somebody else's material. And they create a kinship, and it grows from there. And we've had people who have never known each other before that become best friends. And they co-write, and they get into other circles, and they expand, they grow. It's really cool to see, and a lot of folks, really evolve from it.
That's amazing. The first time I remember coming in, it's been years ago since I came and saw you there, and you were singing and playing there. And by the way, for people that don't know, you're an amazing musician yourself. When you started your stuff in Dallas, the Acoustic Distortion, how did that get going?
Back in the 70s, I was a professional musician around Dallas and Texas, and you didn't really get a chance to do material. Every so often, you got to play one song per set, if you were lucky, but otherwise it was covers. And we were paid quite well for it. But if you're an artist, you didn't really get to grow. And I had a new business, a construction business that I had really just started, and I decided that I was going to just take off from music and quit that. So I sold all my guitars except for one, and I quit. Didn't perform anymore from 1981 to 2006, other than in my living room or at a friend's house. And those friends convinced me that, my material was really too good to be doing it in the living room. Mm-hmm. So I sought out some people and said, what's the best way to do this nowadays? And they said, well, open mic. And they gave me a couple of places to go, and Standard and Poor's was one of them, which is now Opening Bell Coffee. And so that was one of the first places I went. And so it kind of evolved in that. And so I started getting out, and then I had old friends who decided they, wanted to be part of my band as well. And so, I allowed that to happen for a little while, and then had people tell me that you kind of outclass your surrounding musicians. You really beyond that. And I know if those musicians ever saw this, they'd be like, really don't appreciate that. But that's what it is.
It happens, right?
So I came back in 2006 and, started playing solo stuff, and, people took to it, and, all of a sudden I was a new kid on the block at, mid 40s. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of cool to get the accolades and everything so late, but it was still fun. And I'm able to appreciate it a lot more now.
Yeah. So when you actually now you're hosting the open mic and you look at some of the guys coming around, the guys, the girls, the musicians, what do you tell them to keep them in their music career? Because everybody, I think, wants to be a star, and I'm not sure what that means. So what do you tell these people?
I tell everybody, the music's great, and if you're really wanting to go out and tour, that now's the time to do it when you're young. Get out there and get it out of your blood. And if you happen to get discovered by somebody and move on from there, it's really good. But, it's kind of hard to do it when you get later in life. And I tell people who drop out of it, we'll have people who come through there and who stick around for a while, and they're really great. The audience really loves them. And then they drop out from doing it for 3 or 4 or 5 years. And I'll take them aside and say, if you do it again, you may miss your chance. And I said, and I'll tell these particular artists, a couple of them that I've told that, you're good to let this just wait. And so you have to stay after it. You have to be, relentless in what you're doing. You have to get out there and fight for everything you can, because a lot of musicians artists believe that there's no competition out there. And every event is got somebody else. So you have to get out there and fight for it. You have to advertise. You have to promote yourself to knowing. And with the social media that you have nowadays, there's, you can do it without even leaving your living room.
Wow, you said something to me that just blew my mind there. You said people believe there's no competition. It's this, they're just going to blow up and make it. How can that even be a thing?
Well, I've had a couple of artists say that, I'm not competitive. I really don't believe in that and everything else. I'm not trying to get out there and fight for something. You're doing it every time you put your name on a marquee. You want people to come see you rather than the place 2 doors down. So that's a big part of it. You have to be, can't be just an artist anymore. You have to be your own manager, promoter, everything about it, and then maybe one day you will get a promoter, and a manager will take care of it. And a lot of them come through their head. But it's essential you be proactive, because nobody's going to do it for you. Not in the beginning either.
Yeah. When do you see people actually, they're at that stage where you go like, man, that guy right there, that girl right there, that's a star. They need to get some management going. How do you know it yourself? And then what do you tell them, and how do they find that management?
I feel it, by the songwriting style, their presentation on stage, regardless of whether it's real rough in the beginning, you see the potential there and what they can do. And, I've always had this thing, if you can string 4 or 5 chords together in a melody line, everybody's got at least one good song in them. And that is true. And, I think I told you the story about, guy I've known for 50 years calling me up, telling me his son was in town. And, could he come play the open mic? And he did. Dad and I sat in the back of the room. The kid was really rough. Could hardly play the guitar, but he had some good melody lines, did a kind of Delta blues kind of thing. Good looking kid, stuck with it, got better on the guitar, put a CD together. Dallas Observer did a piece on him. Next thing you know, he's blowing up around here. And now he's touring worldwide. Rolling Stone's writing articles about him. You know, his name's Charlie Crockett. And if you've not heard of him, then you need to check him out.
And he started out doing open mics.
Yeah, in fact, first one he did in Dallas. I don't know. You know, he was raised in South Texas. His dad lives here locally, but raised with his mom in South Texas. And the first open mic he did in Dallas was here. And we have another gentleman by the name of Garrett Owen, who is just light years above what most people would expect you would see at an open mic. And it was his very first open mic. He come just a few weeks after the first gentleman that I just mentioned. And he blew everybody away. And so I started introducing him around. He started growing, started getting bigger. I introduced him to my producer a few years ago. They produced an album together. It was nominated for several Dallas Observer Awards. They just recently completed a second album. I haven't yet to hear it yet, but it's extremely good. So and then we've had, you know, people who come out there on a regular basis who, you know, try their wares by going on American Idol or The Voice. I believe we have one that's going to be on American Idol this year. So when it premieres this Sunday, you might see him on there. But I think
that just so people can look out for him.
Yeah, I think we've had somewhere in the mid 20s, as far as 25 or 6 people that have been regular open micers that wind up on one of those shows.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think a lot of times people dismiss open mics, and that's just crazy to me because that's a place where you can go and just like you said, just perform and see if people react to your music. And it's like a comedian telling jokes, that will make it or bomb.
Yep. And there's a very large misconception on open mics, and we've done all we could to make it really change. But every time you hear, you know, when I heard about open mics, I always thought of, you know, a lot of people who were very novice or very old in there. And, you know, we get those. When I say very old, there's no disrespect to old folks, because I am. But, you know, just people who never really got out there.
One of the things that we were just talking about, or we're talking about, is that people don't understand just how powerful it is that the open mics are there and they can test out their material. And I think you were saying, like, they just see it as old people or young people and it's just amateur musicians, but that's just not the case. Talk about that a little bit.
You know, I've had some of the most amazing artists come through there, Kristen Center being one of them. You know, when she came through that first time, I was like, holy crap. You know, I fell in love with her head over heels, just her performance style, everything about it. And obviously was not a novice. I mean, you know, she has her master's degree in piano performance at 22 years old. She's not a novice. And so we start getting there. And of course, my location there, my open mic has a reputation as drawing the really, really good artists. So I've been fortunate on that. So not a whole lot of novices that come through there, because the novices that do come through, they do get intimidated by the talent that comes through there. And
by the way, I can't let that go. Your open mic is rated in top what, 3, 4, 5 in the country? What is it?
The people who have come through from Nashville, from Atlanta, where you have, you know, Eddie's Attic and Bluebird and all that, they say they played those. They say ours is right up there with them, just the feel, the vibe, the talent. And, you know, Pascal has really made this place a very, very artist-friendly place to come.
That's awesome.
You know, I'm just very fortunate that I looked into it. And the gentleman that I inherited the show from, you know, he went on to host over at Poor David's open mic for a while. And unfortunately, last year he had a series of strokes, and he's okay. He's moving around. He's getting his wits back about him, but, you know, good man. That went by the name of Mr. Troll. Raymond Mallow is his real name. But he was a good friend of mine, still is a good friend of mine. And he asked me, you know, to take it over for him, and I did. And I hope I did good by it.
I think you have so far. I think it's going to just keep getting better and better.
It feels like it.
Yeah, no doubt. So when do you have at your open mic a theme that people can come and play, or is it just literally an open mic? They can come, they can play anything they want.
They can. We We'll allow them to do covers because a lot of folks are not comfortable playing their own music up there yet, the stuff that they've written. So they can come in and do a cover to get themselves acclimated to the surroundings and see how it feels before they come up there and do their own. But we pretty much allow anything. We if it's like rap or hip hop and they're requiring backing tracks, the owners prefer that it's an acoustic venue or a real live entertainment. So
Yes.
that's the one thing that we have changed over the past couple of years. You need to play your own music, unless you're like a 10-year-old girl who's has doing sound frozen.
There you go. Have you had somebody come through and blow away Frozen?
Yeah. We have 10-year-old girl come in there, and her dad come with her, and he comes up and asks me. He says, my daughter wants to get up and sing in front of people. She thinks she can sing, and I think she can too. But she doesn't play any instruments. Can we do a backing track for her? And I said, yeah, we'll allow that.
Okay.
I saw that you didn't allow backing tracks, but I said, yeah, for this we will.
That's cool. You go with it, because I found also that something you said a little while ago, sometimes you just have to encourage people because they don't know necessarily that they have talent, or they just need to keep pushing it. And I think this whole thing about pushing, talk about that some more, because I think that's important.
I think for me, the best thing that I can do for them when they come up there, and I'm really impressed when they have the original material, is I'll take them aside and say, look, really enjoyed your stuff. Would you like to do a spotlight slot here where you get a 5-song set, and you can really blow people away with what you've got. And, that to me encourages them, for the folks who've never got up and really done that before, encourages them that, somebody believes in them. And, for some reason, some people around here believe that I mean something in the music business, but they like hearing that. And it's, it's gone a long ways. My word's gone a long ways a few times. So, in helping move forward, getting reinforcement from the community there is very important to them, because, a lot of times people who come out there for weeks on it and never bring an instrument. They're just sit in the audience and listen. And then finally they come up and ask me what the sign-up procedure is. And I'll give them an answer, are you playing? And they said, yeah. And so they come out and play, and, next thing you know, they're hooked on it and they're playing every week. And see it all the time. It's really cool to watch them.
We skipped over something here a little while ago. You talked about you've got about 20, 25 people who've auditioned for, and some have made the American Idol stage. That's a pretty good bar to hit, right?
Yeah, it really is. We've had some of them move pretty far up in the ranks on The Voice. American Idol, last year we had D&G had made it onto it, and they made it to Hollywood. I'm not really sure how far they made it up in the rankings. A few years ago, we had Maddie Davis, who made it up through The Voice. I think she was eliminated with finally like about 6 or so left. And then we've had I'll start forgetting names. I slipped. But just a number of them have gone through, and then we've had people who've hit without that. Leon Bridges used to be one of our regulars, and look where he is now. He's really doing cool stuff.
So I just want people to recognize that there are many paths to whatever that is, making it in music. And it doesn't have to be, I got to go tour and play the bars, because that bar scene is hard. Matter of fact, to me personally, if I was ever to get back into music, I pretty much would skip the bars.
I don't even do it. The only place I'm playing anymore at all is when I do my set during an open mic up there. I don't go to other open mics. I occasionally get asked to fill in host when a regular's gone, like up in Denton or something. But for the most part, I'm concentrating on my new project. And, playing bars at my age, you see a guy who's, in his late 50s and in 60s and out there, and most of the time you just got this image. And I know my music doesn't fit that image, but it's, that's what I did. And so I concentrate on my writing and doing that. So, and doing what I do here, I think I found my niche when I got back into the music scene around here.
That's awesome.
This is it.
Let me ask you another question, because this when I first started doing this show, I was going to focus on LA musicians, mainly because I'd been out in LA and I was going to I had friends out there and I could talk to them, and that's where my focus was on LA. But as I've been doing this and talked to more people, and I haven't believed this for a while, but what are your thoughts on, if you want to make it, you've got to be in LA, you got to go to New York, you got to go to Chicago, you got to go to Nashville.
Austin.
What are your thoughts on yeah, Austin, there you go. What are your thoughts on coming up in the music scene and just being able to play music professionally and make a living? Do you have to be in those places?
Again, it's difficult, at best. The music industry is strange. Just like we were talking about Lyle Mays a little bit ago. He retired in 2010 from performing because he said the music industry had changed so much. And you have to adapt and get creative with it. We had a young artist who is going to be somebody who cheered, he recorded an EP with a local producer here that I introduced him to. Great product. And, he worked for a company that he can satellite through. So I'm going to Nashville, and that's where he's been. And he's been taking off in Nashville. Real what? You've got to be proactive, because, we do have talent scouts come through here and sit in the audience occasionally. And, they'll ask me about this person or that person, what I know about them and all that. And then they'll introduce themselves if they want to go any further. But Dallas is not, while it has a great music scene here locally, it's, they're not going to come to you. You got to go to them. And so okay. Dallas is still a big music mecca. A lot of people come to play, but Austin is going to be the closest place, or Nashville, depending on what you're playing. And, you have to really just go out there and hound the streets. And if you can get anybody who can be your street team, even better.
Gotcha. Talk about street team for a minute. You're the first person that brought up street teams. I think they're awesome. Talk about street teams. What do you mean?
The street team is just people who got your music and everything else and want to get on board and help you promote your stuff in the local city and everything else. And that's the value of social networking and everything else, is because you can get that audience via whether it's Facebook or Reverb Nation or Song Trader or any number of others. And you create these audiences and everything. I have even Spotify, I'm sorry, but missing the big ones here. But, you get these and you get people, my fan base now has grown because I'm on Spotify, to worldwide. And, I have an incredible amount of people following me from Germany and from Europe. And, I've got a lot, people who just follow me every day. So your street team can pick up on that. And then once, you say, okay, I'm going to be touring, I'm going to be playing in Lawrence, Kansas. And, I've got a number of people in Lawrence, Kansas who can get up there and promote it, tell their friends and get it out there and fill up the venue. And that's what the venues are looking for, is if you can put butts in the seats.
That's exactly right.
And, and you really have to do it. And so the street teams are very vital. So if you can get that and build that base all over the world, or all over the country for the most part, you are going to find yourself getting more welcome to cities that you've never been to before.
How do you suggest people go about building that street team?
Again, it's like the Reverb Nations, the SoundClouds. Most of them are free, to a certain extent, that you can upload your stuff. You get videos, you get your audio. Do good audio records with somebody who can record you. And my suggestion is don't do it at home by yourself. If you're going to record an album, pay somebody to do it and find the money to do it if it's any good, and get somebody who is not a friend, who's going to tell you exactly what is wrong with your song and make it better. And I got when I got hooked up with my producer, and he did that, and then it helps it work because you got something professional that sounds great, that doesn't sound like it was recorded in a garage. That more than anything is going to impress the people that you're sending material out to.
Gotcha.
If they're going to this effort to do this stuff and everything else, and they've got a really polished product, then, I'm willing to listen to what they got.
Gotcha. Yeah, there are a lot of people doing it at home these days, right? Because everyone's got Logic, everyone's got, the good mics, everyone's got a pop filter, everyone's got everything. So I think people have forgotten that engineering is a skill.
It is. My producer is, we're currently working on my second album, studio album, which has been in production now for 6 years. And a gentleman by the name of Taylor Hatch, and he is a musician par excellence. He can play just about everything. And, when we first approached him doing the album, he was just going to engineer it. And I'd heard him play with a mutual friend, and I'm like, I want this guy's sound on my record too. And so the more he got comfortable with it, the more he added to it, and he changed stuff. He had me, cut parts of songs and really work stuff up to where it sounded, this is, radio grade product. And, so he made a major change in my overall sound. And so I'm so pleased I did with that. There's another gentleman here in Dallas by the name of Zachary Balch, who producer for Flint Creek Records, which he owns as well. And he produced the young man, the Kyle Sturrock CD that I just went to Nashville.
I remember Zach over at the open mic. He was at open mic for a long time.
Top quality artist and producer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was wondering what happened to him, so I'm glad you brought him up.
Yeah, he's producing here in Dallas. I've sent over a number of young artists that they've really produced really quality product with. And he's really moving up. I expect to see him in Nashville, Colorado. I think he has a thing for Colorado and wants to move up there and start something up there.
Yeah. So with all the kids, let's say they're, fortunately for all the people that are in Dallas, they are in Dallas and they've got a leg up, right? So what's the, if you want to do the 2-minute, 5-minute, here's how your career path can work. If you want to really make it in music and hit it so that your people are listening to you on the radio, what do you think the path would be if for a new musician getting going?
First off, you network through the open mics and through the local venues that you hang out. The open mics, like again, you can't go wrong because you just meet people that are not just the hobbyists, want to go up there and do it. You meet people who are influential in the business around you, and so get that started there. And you start building your way up through that. And just like a lot of the artists that come there and play the open mic, they want to play a full set at the show or at the venue. Then how do I do it? Tell them how to do it. Contact the owner, and and then a lot of them they do just that. They build from there. So being aggressive again, is everything about it. But going in, something that's more than just something you recorded at home.
So get your act together at home. Bring it to some open mics. Hone your skill at the open mics. Be aggressive. Start finding other places to play, either open mics or something. Have your professionally recorded CD. Get that to the right people. And then at what point does somebody need to get a manager?
Managers are when the shows really start coming in, and you're being asked to play. You're not have to go to the venues and send in your EPK to 14 different venues to get through the shows. They're coming to you, and then you're going to need a manager and say, I need to find out, somebody who's going to know my schedule and can handle it and everything else, and go to battle for me, because the manager runs the business end of things. They know how to get the most money for you at each venue. I tell people this, you always hear venues say, a lot of venues will tell you, come out and play for the exposure. That's okay for a year or so, but if you're good at something, never do it for free.
No. I talked to somebody yesterday on the show, and I said, we got to talk to the folks at the Super Bowl about those guys, why they're doing. I mean, it's Super Bowl, things like it's an exposure gig, but dude, they should be getting paid like they are the people that they are, not exposure gig at that point,
That's I thought that was the first time I heard that a few years ago. It was like, they're going there and playing free. Of course, most of the people who go there already have more money than they know what to do with, but free, the players are getting paid. The networks are getting paid.
Everyone's getting paid. This is great stuff, man. What else do you want to tell people before we wrap this up?
Oh, just, never give up on your dreams is the biggest thing. And I know that's cliche, but, you have to. Obviously, and it doesn't matter how long it takes you. Obviously, it's a lot of times it's not going to go exactly in the direction that you thought you would. And, I thought when I was a young artist and everything else that I was going to be a rich rock and roll star and, have millions of dollars and, hundreds of women, running through my house all the time. And, I kind of gave up on that dream for a long time. And when I came back, when I came back, I just wanted to play. But,
Yes.
I found more riches in what I'm doing now in this area of music than I ever thought I would, being a rock star or anything else back when I was a kid. So,
The thing I see about you is that you're giving. You give people the knowledge, you give them the venue, you give them the exposure, you give them, I think, the things they need to build. And that, to me, really is what art music is about, is giving, whether it's to other musicians or to your audience. So I want to thank you for that, because a lot of musicians don't get that when they're young. They don't understand that the performance isn't about getting the adulation. The performance is about emoting to the audience and having them feel what you feel.
it's very give and take. If you give more than you take, then you're always ahead.
Exactly. Exactly. Cool, Steve. How can people get in touch with you? How can they get in the opening bell? Because I know people are going to want to bust down the doors. You've already got enough people, but how do more people get in?
They can contact me on the website, look on the calendar for the open mic nights, or they can contact directly through my email would be OUI_V@Hotmail. Yeah, somebody actually still uses Hotmail.
Okay. I'll put it on the screen and I'll make it flash. Hotmail, Hotmail. That's awesome. Well, thank you for being on. And I know people are going to get some value out of what you were talking about, because I have been learning just from talking to you right here. Thanks a lot.
All right, appreciate it, brother. Hope they do.
We out.